Today, in part 1 of chapter 59 of the Yoga Vasistha, we will discuss in detail Brisundi's reference to the beginning of creation, the Matrika festival, and the supernatural birth. That is exactly our precise focus for today's explainer. We're going straight to the source, Analyzing these ancient texts directly. No detours, no fluff. Let's just absorb this profound wisdom exactly as it was originally imparted. Here is our roadmap for today. First, context of chapters 1 to 58. Second, Brisundi and creation's dawn. Third, the Matrika festival and supernatural birth. Fourth, core spiritual concepts. And finally, bridging ancient texts with modern physics. All right, section 1, context, chapters 1 to 58. If you've been following along, you've seen the incredible evolution of consciousness across the first 58 chapters. We kick things off with Vairagya, that absolute, complete dispassion toward the material world. And naturally, that evolved into Mumukshu, that intense, burning longing for liberation. From there, we dug into Utpatti, the actual mechanics of how creation is projected, and then Sthiti, the nature of existence itself. So we are conceptually anchored right here, at existence, as we introduce Brisundi's incredible narrative. Moving to section 2, Brisundi and creation's dawn. Aham smarami tat purvam sarge. In this sacred passage, found right on page 42, verses 1 and 2, we're introduced to the ancient sage Brisundi, and he is a totally unique observer. We're talking about someone who has lived through multiple cycles of the universe, someone who literally witnessed the very moment before time even began to tick. It's through his eternal eyes that we get this rare glimpse into the origin of all that is. When we look at the exact literal translation, the mechanics become so clear. The word akasha describes the primal void, whilst purana represents that sudden spark of manifestation. And there's a direct, logical connection between the unmanifested realm and the sudden appearance of the cosmos. This isn't just a metaphor, okay? This is the literal, chronological dawn of existence as witnessed by an immortal observer. The universe didn't slowly assemble itself over time. It sparked into being through pure, conscious will. Which brings us to section 3, the Matrika festival and supernatural birth. Matrika Utsava Samaye. This next verse, from page 42, verses 2 to 3, details the gathering of the divine mothers, that's the Matrika festival, and the supernatural birth that follows. We're relying entirely on this primary text here to really understand these ancient mechanics of creation and embodiment. So, let's break down these ancient words. Matrikas refers to the divine mothers, and Utsava signifies their festival. But these matrikas are actually personifications of massive cosmic energies. Their gathering isn't just a celebration, it represents the coalescence of the exact cosmic forces needed to trigger a supernatural birth. What is that? It's a manifestation born from pure divine will, completely bypassing all biological necessity. It is literally the raw power of consciousness organizing itself into physical form. And the text gives us this strict chronological sequence. Think about it step by step. First, Brisundi witnesses the absolute beginning. Then, those cosmic energies gather for the Matrika festival. During this festival, a sacred dialogue takes place. These are vibrations of pure sound and intention. Finally, the whole thing culminates in the supernatural birth. It's an incredibly precise account of cosmic architecture unfolding, going straight from the invisible to the visible. All right, section 4, core spiritual concepts explained. Our first core concept here is Brahman and consciousness. This is the ultimate unchanging reality. In the context of Brisundi's vision, Brahman isn't a person or a distinct entity. It's the foundational substrate. It's the pure awareness from which the entire Matrika festival and the resulting creation emerge. Think of it like a silent, infinite screen, and the dynamic movie of existence is just being projected right onto it. Next up, we have to look at time. Maharishi Vashishtha defines time not as a linear ticking clock, but as a completely subjective, flexible manifestation. For a being like Brisundi, who actually witnesses universal cycles, time expands and contracts based entirely on the observer's state of consciousness. So time, in this framework, is a psychological experience. It's definitely not some rigid container. Then we encounter this really fascinating idea, burnt seed lust. This is an absolutely crucial theological concept when we talk about true liberation. Imagine an ordinary seed, right? If you plant it, it grows. But if you take that same seed and roast it in a fire, it's never going to sprout.
even if you plant it in the best, most fertile soil on earth. In the same way, desires that are roasted in the fire of spiritual wisdom become burnt seeds. They can't generate future karma or worldly attachments anymore. And that is exactly the elevated state of awareness that Bhrisundi maintains.
Finally, let's talk about creation itself. Vashishtha summarizes creation not as some mechanical, physical building process, but as a spontaneous projection of the universe straight out of infinite consciousness. Now, it appears intensely real and solid to our senses, for sure, but ultimately, it's a transient, spontaneous manifestation, and that's perfectly mirrored by the sudden supernatural birth we just discussed in verse 2. And now, Section 5, Ancient Texts, Modern Physics. This is where things get really mind-bending. Consider the ancient concept of the long-lived sage Bhrisundi, experiencing time uniquely based on his state of consciousness. Now bridge that with Einstein's theory of relativity, which proved that time is a relative dimension, totally dependent on the observer's frame of reference. The ancient vocabulary used by Vashishtha aligns absolutely flawlessly with modern physics nomenclature. Time is relative, and it is dictated by the observer. Incredible, right? And it goes even deeper. Take the Kalpa Vriksha, the ancient wish-fulfilling tree that contains the blueprint of all cosmic possibilities within it. Modern science now proposes the holofractal universe. That's a holographic model where every single microscopic part contains the complete information of the entire macro whole. So why does this matter? Well, it shows us that Chapter 59 isn't just beautiful ancient poetry, it's a deeply sophisticated framework for understanding reality, a framework that modern science is literally just now catching up to. On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, it is our humble request that if you found our presentation informative, please share our video as widely as possible so that the authentic knowledge of Indian Vedic texts can reach the masses. Come, let us all participate in this sacrifice of knowledge. Har Har Maharishi.